Profit and loss is essentially part of daily life and therefore will be present in all tests that will be done for assessing the aptitude of any participant whatsoever in any logical reasoning scenario. There is an application of profit and loss in our daily life. Always. Have you ever been fooled by a shopkeeper? The answer is most likely no. This is a fact, at least in the realm of common man's day to day transactions. Obviously, exceptions are there. All sophisticated people were fooled by American bankers. But in day to day life, not many get fooled. Here, we will revisit what we do in our daily life in a formal way. We will look into the mathematical implications of things we do daily. We will have some basis on which we will work so that we cannot be fooled by anybody in our shopping chores. First of all, let us understand what business is. What makes a transaction complete? For a business to happen, there should be a buyer, one who buys goods, and a seller, one who is selling the goods that the buyer wants to buy. This is what makes a market. What happens in a business? Once we closely examine what happens in a business, we understand two things. One, the buyer gets the goods from the seller. The seller transfers the physical goods to the buyer and in return gets money from the buyer. And two, the buyer gives the seller currency notes in exchange of the goods that he has got from the seller. In short, the seller will get currency notes and the buyer will get the goods. The business entails two things: revenue and expenditure. Revenue means the money earned by selling some goods, and expenditure means money spent to buy those goods. All businesses will have to be done by either buying and selling goods or making and selling goods. In trade business, there will be a person who will buy goods from somebody and sell the same goods to another person. For example, A will buy eggs from B and sell to C. In manufacturing business, A will make furniture and sell to C. Here, the final product is manufactured from other raw materials using an expertise and is being sold. In both cases, revenue comes by selling the final products. Expenditure happens differently in both businesses. In the trade business, the same good is bought and sold. So, the expenditure goes to buy the product itself. In manufacturing, the expenditure goes in buying different products and then converting those into the final product. Revenue is something that accrues to the seller from the buyer. It is a reward for his service of sales. The revenue comes to the seller in the form of currency or check. Expenditure is of two types: one, direct expenditure, and two, indirect expenditure. Direct expenditure means something that we can attribute directly to the final product. If we are buying the final product, it essentially means the cost of the final product itself. In the case of manufacturing, the costs that we can attribute directly to the final product are direct costs. For example, milk is required to manufacture curd. The cost of milk and its quantity is directly attributable to manufacturing. Therefore, it is a direct cost. The cost that is required to take the curd to the customer by auto is not a direct cost as it is not part of manufacturing. Such costs are called indirect costs. We buy a TV. We pay something to the auto driver to take it home. Is that cost part of the TV? No. Such costs are called indirect costs. Whatever happens, there is an outflow of money. Money drains from the buyer. It happens in the form of some currency. As discussed, there are two components of cash transactions in a business: revenue and expenditure. When revenue is greater than expenditure, the business is in profit. In this case, after the transaction, the businessman will have more cash with him than what he had initially. When expenditure is more than revenue, that transaction is called a loss. Here, the businessman will have less cash than what he had originally after the transaction. The basic concept is better understood if you take the position of seller, not the buyer. We normally have got used to the position of buyer. In profit and loss questions, it is better to have the conscious belief that you are the businessman in question rather than a buyer or an onlooker. This avoids a lot of confusion with respect to the terminologies and concepts. As seen in the slide, we would know that here the revenue is greater than expenditure. The quantity by which it is greater is the profit. Therefore, profit is equal to revenue minus expenditure. In this case, it works out to be rupees 20, 100 minus 80. By observation, we know that expenditure is more than revenue. Therefore, it is a loss. Loss is equal to expenditure minus revenue. In this case, expenditure is 100 and revenue is 80. So, the loss is 100 minus 80, that is equal to 20. Please note that expenditure will be greater than revenue whenever loss happens. What is the cause of a business? If we look carefully as to how a business happens, the first step is to buy some product and then sell the product. So the business starts with the businessman buying something. So it all starts with expenditure. So the basis of any business is the expenditure that happens first up. So all calculations are to be done on the basis of expenditure. Profit or loss happens since the business has started and therefore because of the expenditure. So both of them will be on the basis of expenditure. Profit and loss can be expressed in two ways. 1. Absolute basis. 2. Relative or percentage basis. In absolute basis, profit or loss will be referred to in terms of currency like rupees, dollar, etc. In relative basis, they will be represented in percentage terms like 20%, 30%, etc. One thing to be noted here is that the relativity is on a basis and the basis will be expenditure. That is what we described in the last slide. So, 20% profit will mean 20% of expenditure. Look at question Q3 given in the slide. By observation, we can say that the sell price here will be buy price plus the profit. The buy price here is 75 and the profit is 25. Therefore, the sell price will be 75 plus 25, that is equal to 100 rupees. Look at the slide. Here, the sell price would be buy price minus loss. The buy price is rupees 50 and the loss is rupees 25. So, the sell price here would be 50 minus 25 and that is equal to rupees 25. Look carefully at the slide. We have the sell price as rupees 50 and profit as rupees 25. We know the buy price has to be less than the sell price were it to be a profit. Therefore, buy price will be equal to sell price minus profit. And here it is 50 minus 25, 25 rupees. Here the sell price is rupees 65 and the loss is rupees 15. For it to be a loss, the sell price has to be lower than buy price. Therefore, buy price will be equal to sell price plus loss. And here it is 65 plus 15, that is equal to rupees 80. Look at the slide carefully. There are a couple of more pieces of information in this slide. Here it says sell price is rupees 65, profit is rupees 15, transportation is rupees 10, and it asks you to find out the buy price. The questions discussed till now were relatively simpler. Here, buy price is equal to sell price minus profit minus transportation. Therefore, it is rupees 40. Note that the transportation also becomes part of expenditure, although it is not a part of the cost. That is why it is better to have the terminologies as expenditure and revenue. This will help avoid confusion. And we know expenditure has to be equal to revenue minus profit. Expenditure is what goes out as cash from the pocket. So, it will be sum of buy price and transportation. Assuming transportation is to be done by the seller, expenditure equals rupees 50. Transportation equals rupees 10. So, buy price is equal to rupees 50 minus rupees 10, that is equal to rupees 40, because expenditure includes both buy price and transportation. Although this seems a longer route, it is always better to use this route to internalize the processes of business, and once we understand the process, all questions under this concept will be far too easy to deal with. Look at the next question given in the slide. It is quite similar. Buy price is equal to sell price plus loss minus transportation. If we rearrange this, it will become buy price plus transportation is equal to sell price plus loss. Buy price plus transportation is what constitutes expenditure. Sell price is what constitutes revenue, and therefore we know in the case of a loss, expenditure equals revenue plus loss. In case you've internalized the concept, you would by now have got the answer that buy price will be equal to rupees 70. Did you not get the answer? In case you've not got the answer, you've not internalized the concepts of business. Go back and listen to the presentation once again. Here, we need to note that the loss is given in percentage terms. Percentage of expenditure is the way in which values are given. Therefore, sell price plus 15% of buy price equals buy price, because we know sell price plus loss is equal to buy price. And here, loss is given as 15%. And 15% of what? 15% of buy price. Calculations will tell us that sell price is equal to 0.85 into buy price. Therefore, buy price is equal to sell price divided by 0.85. And therefore, buy price will be rupees 76.47. We know buy price plus profit is equal to sell price. Here, profit is given in percentage terms. Therefore, we know buy price plus 15% of buy price is equal to sell price. 1.15 times buy price will be equal to sell price. Here, we know sell price is rupees 65. Therefore, buy price will be equal to 65 divided by 1.15, that is equal to rupees 56.5. Look at the next question, Q11, given in the slide. It is quite similar. Did you get the answer? I'll explain. We know buy price plus profit is equal to sell price. Therefore, sell price will be equal to 75 plus 25% of 75. That is equal to 1.25 into 75. And that will be equal to 93.75. Did you get the answer? We know when it is a loss, sell price will always be less than the buy price. So, buy price minus loss is equal to sell price. What is loss here? It is 25%. 25% of what? 25% of buy price. Therefore, sell price equals 75 minus 0.25 into 75. That is equal to 0.75 into 75, which is rupees 56.25. Did you get the answer? If the answer to that question is no, please understand that you have not got the hang of the subject properly. Go back and listen to the presentation once again. Did you get answers to all these questions correct? If you have got the answers to all these questions correct, then you are ready to proceed to the next level. Congratulations. In case you've got some of these questions wrong, please go back and listen to the class once again, because it indicates that you have not got the basics right. What are the special points to be noted here? 1. Always approach the problem from the viewpoint of the businessman and not the buyer or the onlooker. Point number 2. Do not get confused between profit and profit percentage, loss and loss percentage. Always look at the units. If it is currency like rupee, dollar, etc., it is absolute. And if it is percentage, there will not be any units but a percentage sign. Point number 3. Always use terminologies as revenue and expenditure, especially when indirect costs are involved. This presentation has not used those terminologies in order to make sure that you convert the terminology that we have used into revenue and expenditure and work out these problems once again. Point number 4. Remember that percentage loss and profit are always calculated on the basis of expenditure and not on revenue. Wherever you see profit percentage or loss percentage, it is profit divided by expenditure into 100 and not profit divided by revenue into 100. A variation is possible only if there is special mention. A variation is possible only if there is special mention. It means if the basis were not to be expenditure, it will be explicitly mentioned in the question. Ensure that you are very clear on all these points. These are keys to successful solutions for profit and loss problems and for better transactions wherever you come across profit and loss in real life. All the best.